Hey everybody, my name is Shibby. I'm an esports colorcaster and celestial ranked player in Marvel Rivals, and we are 5 days into season 2.5 of Marvel Rivals, and I wanted to give you guys an early meta report on what I've been seeing so far. I'm going to go over vanguards, duelists, and strategists, and it's going to take into account what we've been seeing both at the pro and top 500 level, as well as the solo queue environment in general. But I don't want to keep you guys waiting any longer, so let's just get into it. The first vanguard we're going to mention is going to be Magneto. Now, Magneto quickly has become, in my opinion, either the best tank or one of the best tanks in season 2.5, not only in part due to the other tanks being nerfed and him getting a slight buff, but the fact that the meta has evolved into a triple support meta, or we've been seeing a lot of flyers, specifically because of Ultron. We've been seeing a lot of 3 support, but even then, solo tank has become very powerful at the moment because you want to run stuff like Ultron plus Invisible Woman plus Luna Snow, or any sort of 3 support combination. He very much rises as one of the best solo tanks, if not the best solo tank in the game. His buff, albeit very small, has increased his DPS output a little bit. He still has his tried and true burst combo, and what I've really liked about Magneto is that he's become a pretty solid counter into a lot of the DPS and support pool that we've been seeing, specifically because obviously Punisher has been seeing a lot more play, Iron Man as well. I mean, you can look at the supports like Luna Snow, Loki, Invisible Woman. These kinds of supports, hell, Jeff even, can get one shot by Magneto's ultimate, which increases his value so much. I would say if you are a tank player in season 2.5, if you don't know how to play Magneto, you should pick him up. I don't ever think he's going to be completely out of the meta unless he gets some major nerfs, simply because of how good his ultimate is and how good it is at countering individuals. He's also a very good shield tank. He plays well into the really OP stuff if it ever gets open, like Hela and Hawkeye. You combo him up with something like a Doctor Strange, and you have a very solid double shield composition that allows you to block a lot of projectiles. I don't want to also forget his bubble and the utility that that has, not only in just bubbling himself, but being able to bubble some of your carries or your supports when they're in dire situations can help out a lot and turn the tides of fights. Magneto, by far, is one of the best tanks in the game. I really think Magneto is one of the best tanks in the game, and I think the only other tank that can really stand in comparison to Magneto, if Magneto is 1A, then the 1B tank I want to mention is going to be Emma Frost. I really thought that the nerf she got to her diamond form would knock her down a peg, but the fact that her beam range got increased from 15.5 meters to now 18 meters actually allows her to deal with some of the flyers that we've been seeing in this new meta, right? Things like Ultron, Iron Man, Storm, if that ever gets let through. Like, a lot of these characters, yes, they can skybox you and they can get out of your range, but most of the time they will be playing somewhat low to the ground, or at least somewhat in the range of that beam, and that allows you to really burn these guys and punish them if they're not careful about your positioning or not respecting you as a tank. I have also been seeing a bit more solo tank Emma Frost. Now, that might be due to, in part, of us having 3 supports in the meta and that she can survive a little bit longer, even though her shield got nerfed and her diamond form got nerfed. The fact that she can put out so much pressure at a higher range allows her to play the range and distance game a little bit more, allows her to play around corners to get that effective damage off. Although I think she still is successful in those 2 tank compositions, solo tank Magneto and solo tank Emma Frost have been really, really consistent and what I've been seeing, and especially because, like I said, the flyer meta is so prevalent at the moment. Her shield also allows her to be run in some of these pseudo double shield compositions, especially if you see Hela or Hawkeye being run. But it is very hard for her to get value out of that diamond form in the sense of getting that one-hit combo. A lot of what I've been seeing is now the Emma Frost will be just grabbing the main tank or grabbing something like a Groot or grabbing something like a Doctor Strange and kicking them towards the team. Instead of going for that one-shot combo, you now have to rely on your team to help you finish the job, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You, as the Emma Frost player, just have to communicate that you're going to grab this person, you're going to kick them, and all the meanwhile, that guy can take damage while they're getting CC'd up. So I think Emma Frost, still 1B. She might have been 1A last patch, but right now, Magneto, Emma Frost dominate the meta at the moment. I think Strange as well, with the buffs, has actually put him in a really good spot. You can run him in these double shield compositions like I mentioned. Doesn't really work functionally as a solo tank, so you do kind of have to run him with Mag or Emma or something of the sorts. Is okay in dealing with the flyers because he can fly up, don't get me wrong, but the fact is that he can only be up there for so long, and if you're flying up as Strange, you have to realize that you're leaving your team as one of those big main shield tanks. So it is kind of tough. Does have a decent matchup into stuff like the Iron Man, the Ultron, because you can block those ultimates, you can shield your team, Portal is also very invaluable, and the fact that they buffed his Maelstrom of Madness, like I mentioned, allows him again to gamble for more of those multi-kills with that ultimate. I've been seeing a lot more Doctor Stranges land multi-man ultimates and get double, triple kills pretty consistently. The no damage fall off on the Maelstrom of Madness has really helped him out, but he still is below the Emma Frost and Magneto of the group. The honorable mention that I do want to talk about, and this is an interesting conversation to have, is the fact that Peni Parker isn't like universally good on both sides, but the fact that she does have that team up with Rocket, and what I've at least been seeing in the solo queue side of things, not in pro or not in really top 500 as much, but just in the general solo queue sense, she is very good on the defensive side. I think she has that area denial and lockdown potential even more now. You can really just lock down whole parts of the map if you can get that double web set up, especially if you're putting your mines down on health packs and stuff like that. It is very hard for a team to force you out of an area unless they come together as a unit to really push you off, right? Multiple DPSs, or maybe a tank and a DPS and a support, have to come and clear out a room, which just wastes a lot of time. It is very annoying to play against the Peni, and I have been seeing Pennies with a lot more success on the offensive side. I think overall her win rate has also increased by like 4 or 5% just across all the ranks, which is really, really good. I mean, the team up that she got with Rocket is really nice. The other underrated thing is that I don't think a lot of people realize that Rocket's own team up, where he gets enhanced, essentially a web respawn beacon, that actually also places down mines. So what I've been seeing is a lot of Rockets will throw their beacon down at a specific spot, get the mines taken out, recall it, and the mines still stay there. I'm not sure if that's an intended feature or if that's a bug, but the fact that you can kind of have this mobile mine deployment, it's only like a 5-second cooldown if you cancel it yourself, is kind of nice. Like I said, the area denial is really nice, but offensively, she obviously struggles. And again, against the flyer meta, defensively, if you're not playing her in like some of these more enclosed spaces or sections where you can really kind of close off and flyers can't find an angle on your nests, then she's very good. But it's very niche. She's like S tier on certain defensive maps, but everything other than that, she's like probably D, if not F tier. So it's really interesting. I do want to give her a special shout out though, because like I said, I have been seeing a lot of Pennies just completely lock down and dominate maps. Again, she works best in that 2-tank setup, something like a Mag, and Emma, a Strange. You can pick pretty much any of those shield tanks with Peni just to provide that extra little support onto your nest if you need it. And it is really tough for some of these guys to walk into that nest because there are so many spider mines. There are so many bots just coming at you. You can take a ton of damage. Before we get into the duelists, I just want to remind everybody that if you've liked the video so far, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I'm really trying to push for that 200 subscriber mark, as that is my current goal. And I've really appreciated all the love you guys have given me on my past couple videos. I've really been enjoying, replying to the comments, seeing that you guys are engaging with it. It's really, really nice, and it means a lot to me. But other than that, let's get into the duelists. So getting into the duelists, I'm going to take the obvious ones, like right off the bat, right? If you're not playing Hawkeye, Hela, Storm, you should be playing it. The thing is, though, I've rarely been seeing them get opened up in the ban phase. Typically, what the bans will consist of is Hawkeye, Hela, Storm, and then one of like Luna Snow, Emma Frost, Ultron, or Iron Man. But in the off chance that these heroes do get opened up, you should know how to play them, because you can like completely carry matches, right? It is very, very difficult to lose on one of these three, especially on Storm if you have Jeff available as well. I mean, Jeff Neto is by far the best team up in the game, and it is uncounterable. It literally, if only thing that is there that I've been seeing work semi-consistently is the Iron Man ult as the Storm is ulting. That's it. Other than that, if you're a support, you cannot counter Jeff Neto because you immediately get swallowed up. So it is very disgusting. But Hawkeye, Hela, I don't need to explain them to you. You know why they're really strong. Anybody that has ever faced off against these guys in these past couple days when they've been opened knows how powerful they are. Like, especially if it's like a Lord Hawkeye or something like that. But other than those three, I think Punisher, very good. The changes in the buffs that he's received has definitely bumped him up in the priority list. I do think he does struggle against the Emma Magneto or the Magneto Doctor Strange comps. Essentially, any of the comps that want to run these 2-shield compositions, he does struggle a bit. It's really hard to kind of get value out of him unless you're consistently taking off angles or your team as a whole is trying to break bubble and break shield pretty consistently. But other than that, very good matchup into the Flyers, Ultron, Iron Man, all that kind of stuff. He's very good at trying to keep them at bay and keeping them, I'll say, honest, right? You're not just allowed to fly in the sky anywhere and do whatever you want, because there is a Punisher. As long as you have pretty good aim, you can kind of keep them in check and even sometimes get some kills because of the extra damage that he's received on his gun and the extra bullets you have more chances to try to take him down. So I really like the Punisher changes. Still obviously suffers from, you know, being countered by stuff like the Moon Knight ultimate, the Magneto ultimate specifically. Like, he is still kind of a sitting duck, even though they've increased his mobility on his ultimate. It is still, you know, very counterable. I think Punisher's probably one of the most fair characters I've seen in this meta so far. A really cool development that we've been seeing is Winter Soldier as a response to the current meta. Now, you'd be wondering, why is Winter Soldier so good? Or why is Winter Soldier being picked up? Because specifically, one of his abilities, the charge, the electric bolt or charge that he has, I believe it's called like Tainted Voltage, it actually is able to knock down flying heroes, and it has a relatively solid radius. So if you land that on an Iron Man or an Ultron and you can ground them for a little bit, it actually allows you to kill them pretty quickly. Winter Soldier also does really good into stuff like Magneto, into some of the triple support comps that we've been seeing. If you're aiming your hook and you're consistently landing them onto individual targets, or you're hooking the supports, it can allow you to win some of these fights even before they start. So I've been really liking this kind of new development of like, oh wait, Winter Soldier can ground some of these flying characters. Yes, him by himself with his gun can't really deal with it, but if you combine that with the Punisher, if you can combine that with maybe a dive hero or anything like that, a Hawkeye or a Hela, if that's in the meta, if that ever gets open, there are opportunities to actually kill these flying characters, and a lot of them don't expect it and they don't really see it, and they don't have the ability to dodge it as quickly, especially if you're behind cover and stuff. I've been really liking Winter Soldier coming in and being this kind of counter to the Flyers. Speaking on Flyers, I do want to mention that Iron Man has been not as frequently banned as I thought he would be. I think a lot of the bans are heading towards stuff like Hela, Hawkeye, Storm, and then I mentioned like one of Iron Man, Luna Snow, Ultron has been getting banned out. I think Iron Man, very good right now. A lot of good poke. We are heading into sort of poke meta. Has that ultimate ability that's really good at countering stuff like Luna Snow, Loki ultimate, or Loki copied Luna Snow ultimate. Like, Iron Man does very good into those kind of compositions. Has a good combo with stuff like Strange and Emma Frost, especially if the Emma Frost is able to mind control multiple people. There's actually no way they can counter the Iron Man ultimate. Typically you have like a shield or something like that. No, they can't do anything about it. They are just walking slowly towards their death. So I have been really liking Iron Man. Honorable mentions that I have specifically for season 2.5 that I've been seeing, and it has kind of worked, has kind of not, depending on the player, is Psylocke and StarLord. Both of those characters have hit scan properties on their abilities. They also have really good burst, so it allows them to deal with some of these flying characters. Think like Ultron, Iron Man, before they can even get any of the heals that they need. Sometimes I've seen Psylocke and StarLords absolutely one tap them or one combo these guys. Now, StarLord did get a buff to his ultimate where the range on his ultimate has increased. So you have that ability to play a little bit safer or farther back, and you can ult their back line, which is really nice, especially because Ultron typically doesn't have the ability or tools to counter the ultimate completely unless he has his own ultimate. Psylocke still suffers from the same stuff, did get a couple bit of nerfs, still is okay. I think he's still in a fine spot. Her ultimate does get counters by, like I said, Loki, Luna Snow, all that stuff. I don't think it's actually a terrible gambit to trade the Psylocke ult for the support ult, because you can build that Psylocke ult up relatively quickly. But yeah, these are some of the answers I've been seeing, at least from the duelist side, specifically into the meta that we've been seeing, right? Psylocke, StarLord, Iron Man, Winter Soldier have been really, really fun to see, and I really love playing with a lot of these characters. Now, moving on to the strategist side, I think it is pretty straightforward. Now, I didn't mention Ultron in my last video simply because I didn't have early access and I had a feeling some stuff would change. I know a lot of the creators initially when they had access to him were like, he's really weak, his ultimate sucks, so on and so forth. I believe they kind of like patched him up a little bit before they actually released him on patch day. Ultron has been seeing a lot of play, and Ultron has been really damn good in these triple support compositions. He is by far one of the strongest supports simply because his ability to build his ultimate up very fast allows him to snowball fights really quickly. And what do I mean by that? Typically by first fight or within that first fight, a good Ultron will have his ultimate up before anyone can even counter it. It has pretty good damage, I'll say, has pretty good healing, but you can, in your ultimate, definitely nuke some backline members, especially if the supports aren't paying attention to each other, or if there's a DPS out of position. Ultrons almost always will have their ultimate up in that first fight or prior to anybody else having their ultimate. And the good Ultron players have just been consistently snowballing fight. It is really scary when you're facing off against an Ultron and you keep hearing the exterminate voice line like over and over and over again because of how frequently this guy's getting his ultimate up. Other than that, I don't think it really works in the 2 support compositions. Ultron as well, I think scales with his team's ability. If your team is very high ranked or high rated, the less mistakes they make, the better Ultron is. What do I mean by that? Because Ultron has very limited healing or low healing capabilities, right? He's got a shield and he's got that drone that he puts on. If you as a team don't make many mistakes, you don't get chunked out randomly, you don't get poked out randomly, and you use the environment and stuff like that, you allow Ultron to cook as a DPS, more of a DPS than a support. He's able to build his ultimate up. He's got really good damage. He can deal with other flyers. He can punish backline. He can punish people that are out of position, but it is very dependent on how your team plays as a whole and how many mistakes they make. Less mistakes equals Ultron players will feast. More mistakes might force a swap, even in some situations where you do have 3 supports. So it's very dependent, but I think the verdict on Ultron at the moment is that he is worse than Luna Snow and Loki, but probably better than the remaining supports. And Luna Snow and Loki, in my opinion, are 1A, 1B of supports. Luna Snow, obviously the best support in the game right now. The compensation buffs that she got, despite her ultimate getting nerfed again, the fact that she has more survivability, the fact that she's been getting consistent buffs or compensation buffs even since last patch, she's actually in a really good spot. She's very safe to play. You don't have any real threats against divers. The fact that her Snowflake, you can attach it to your Iron Man, you can attach it to your Ultron or whoever you want, and you can just heal away your front line while they're getting healed, provides immense value. Luna Snow is amazing. And Loki, I don't really have to tell you why he's really good. The fact that he can copy Luna Snow ultimate and become a Luna Snow for 12 seconds and provide a vulnerability in of itself is very good, but also the fact that he has very good like splash healing. The lamps are very good. And when sometimes the Luna Snow on your team has to look up or look to heal another flying character, your Loki can handle some of the healing burden of your grounded characters, right? Multiple clones allow you to burst heal very, very quickly. He's also got a pretty fast charging ult, or relatively fast charging ult, you know, in comparison to Luna Snow. So he's almost always going to have that copy of ability available. Honorable mention, I will say, is Jeff. And Jeff is either S tier or like just okay, depending on if Storm is available. I mentioned Sharknado. It's virtually uncounterable. Only thing I've been seeing is Iron Man ultimate. And if Iron Man is banned out, you better hope and pray that one of Storm or Jeff are out of the map. They build their ultimates up very quickly. Jeff as well, because he has the ability to heal and damage at the same time, though his rate of ultimate charge actually is super fast, even though it got nerfed, right? He also is a pretty like MVP slash SVP farmer. I've been seeing pretty consistently that Jeffs will get MVP and SVP simply because they are both able to do damage and support. And the way the system or Marvel Rival weighs it, if you're a support that can also do a ton of damage, you will get MVP slash SVP. That's the same reason I've been seeing Ultron get a bunch of MVPs and SVPs, because most of the time they have a lot of high damage, they've got pretty good healing, and they've got pretty good elims. Jeff, I think, is pickable in some of these 2 support compositions. I think, you know, if you have something like a, you know, Luna Snow Jeff, maybe Loki's ban, or maybe you have like Invisible Woman and Jeff because Loki and Luna is banned. It is interesting. I think he's in a solid spot right now. He doesn't play that flank kind of, you know, DPS style. He is much more of a grounded support, and he has a role in the meta. I still think his ultimate is very situational. If you have a Magneto, if you're a Jeff player and you have a Magneto on your team, or you have someone that can shield you or bubble you, do it. Because once you get, you know, once you catch everybody, you have the ability to really go crazy and get multi-kills. But most of the time, at least at Grandmaster Celestial level, those Jeffs get dealt with very, very quickly. So just make sure you're calling out like, hey, I'm going to ult here. Magneto, can you bubble me after I ult? And most of the time, the Jeffs will get away and they'll be able to either take them off the map or take the team into an enemy corner and kill them. It is very interesting. It is highly dependent on the Jeff player, though. But at a base floor level, I think Jeff has gotten better and much more accessible to everybody. Rocket Raccoon has his spots. You can run triple res here, or the cursed triple res, which is like Adam Warlock, Mantis, and Rocket Raccoon, where you have so much res power that it's almost impossible to consistently kill them. But res comp, in my opinion, has gone down a few pegs simply because of what has popped up in regards to Ultron, Luna Snow, and Loki being some of those popular strategists in the game. But that's the complete list for season 2.5. Maybe things will change here and there. I anticipate that, as flyers potentially get hotfixed, we might see stuff like Wolverine come back into the meta, or some of these more melee DPS guys. I know a lot of the melee DPS players are struggling, so I'm hoping we get some sort of patch or some sort of fix in season 2.5 that allows you guys to, properly play the game here. But if you've enjoyed the list, if you think I've missed anything, let me know in the comment section below. But until next time, thanks for watching. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, I'm going to tell you something you've heard a million times before. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications on my latest uploads. I try and respond to every single comment in my video because I genuinely do appreciate everyone that takes the time out of their busy schedules to leave one, and I love interacting with my community. If you want to catch more longer form content, I stream over on Twitch about 3 to 4 times a week, where you'll get unedited versions of these videos, as well as we talk about roster moves, patch changes, as well as gameplay over there. If you care about the short form side, I post pretty frequently on YouTube Shorts and TikTok, where you'll get more condensed version of this content, as well as highlights from my stream, amongst other things. I'm also on Twitter, and all of this will be in the description box below, as well as a pop-up that will form on the right side where you can catch me on all the different platforms. I genuinely appreciate everyone that stops by on this channel and watches all my videos, and I hope to see you in the next one.